Back to the channel. Today you join me out to a mark which is probably about a 5-minute drive from my house. I wanted to go down to a mark on the south coast a little bit further down, but it is absolutely blowing a gale. So what I thought I'd do is I come down to a mark which is very popular. I walk down it quite a lot with the family. It's called, if you don't know it, Magazine Lane. I never really pleasure fish it. I only fish it in competitions because it's a tremendous competition mark. But when I walk down here and speak to the people who are fishing along here, you know, a lot of people call it Snaggy Lane and they lose a hell of a lot of tackle here. So what I thought today, I'll come down and show you how I fish it, because it is a popular mark. You know, it's packed on weekends, but everyone seems to be losing tackle. So what I will do is today, because of the weather conditions, I'll take you through how I fish Magazine Lane. And to tell you the truth, I don't lose any tackle here, because what we'll talk about in a minute after I get set up is the water features which are here and how to overcome those, because that's what a lot of people do. Everyone thinks they get stuck in the rocks, but the rocks are only 20 yards out, but we'll speak about that in a minute. I'll quickly finish setting this up. I'll run you through the equipment I use for fishing Magazine Lane, and then we'll jump into the beach buddy as normal. We'll go through the rigs, baiting up, and then how to approach fishing Magazine Lane. Right, so the rods and reels I'm going to be using today. When I'm fishing Magazine Lane, I don't like to use multipliers because you need quite a fast retrieve to get it up over the bank, which is out there, which we'll speak about in a minute. So today I've got my Xenon Plasma, favourite rod, nice. If I need to send a lead quite long, that's perfect. They cast up to 7 ounces. And one of my favourite rods is the Banzai multi-tip. I've got them both coupled up with the Virtuosas. On the Plasmas, the 8000, and on the Banzai multi-tip, I got the 6000. Both of them got 20-pound braid, 60-pound shock leader, because you don't need heavy leads here. But yeah, if you come to Magazine Lane, and it, you know, it's perfect for egg beakers, try and stay from the multipliers, because you've got to get up and over now. What I'll do is now, I'm going to get my rigs and that out, and we'll go through the bait I've got. Nice cheap session today as well. You don't need a massive amount of bait here, so that's also good and a saver. But then what we can do is then I'll talk you through that. Once I've talked you through that, we can talk you through the water layout, which is in front of us in Magazine Lane, where people get stuck up on. But yeah, hopefully we can get into some fish. But it's just nice to get out of the wind, because it's 30 to 40 miles an hour winds on here. But Magazine Lane, why it's a good match venue, is it's normally always sheltered. We have got a little bit of a breeze going left to right, but that's manageable. And it's an amazing area, which we'll talk about in a minute, Magazine Lane. Great, man. Well, cross fingers, now I can get into some fish for you. All right, we just quickly run through the rods and reels I'm going to be using. And what I'll do is I'll quickly run you through the rigs which I use on Magazine Lane. As we spoke about, you know, a lot of people come down here and they do call it Snaggy Lane. And they always think they're getting stuck on rocks. But I'll pan you around and show you after. I'll put the drone over it. About 30 yards out, there are a bunch of rocks, but then that stops and it goes on to mud. But the issue is with Magazine Lane, obviously, I'll see if I can get the drone over it. It is a bit windy. We're opposite the main terminal for offloading cargo. So what they do is this is dredged nearly every 2 months. They dredge it. So what happens is when the dredger comes in, it stops to the edge of the chipping channel. So there's a steep drop off. So what people do is when they cast out into obviously the deep water. And they don't follow the line down, so what happens is then the line sits on top of the bank, and then obviously when the tide fixes the lead, the line actually digs into the mud bank. So when you wind in, you bring your lead through, and it actually gets stuck into that mud bank. So top tip when you're fishing here, when you cast out, always follow your line down, so just slowly tighten. So what that does then, and once your lead's sat in tight, just tighten up to it, and that allows it just to skim the top of the bank. Yeah, because everyone thinks you're actually stuck in, but it's not. It's when you wind in, your line is cut into the mud, and then it digs into it. Yeah, but a tremendous match venue, especially in the night. You get your pout, white dogs, and believe it or not, they've even a blonde ray for you. Big smooth hound and that. It can be quite productive, but the issue is you do get a lot of pleasure anglers along here, and it is quite a busy footpath as well. So when you come, what I do is I try and set up all my stuff on the grass here. If you do set up on the grass, please do your 5 and 10 checks around, because I know dog walkers are supposed to pick up their dog mess, but yeah, there was a load of dog mess up there just now, so I've had to set my stand up here. So always come here, check for dog poo and that. Today, and I don't bring my beach buddy down here. As you can see, I got the Tronic Pro beach umbrella, because it's fine for you, because you can't, if the wind does pick up, you know, that I can dig that into grass rather than the beach buddy, because there's no rocks here to pin your beach buddy down. But yeah, it's a lovely day. The sun's out. It's a bit windy, just blowing down. But yeah, this is the only place I could have fished, and I think because it is such a popular venue, if you do see it, hopefully then you can see the hints, which are how I fish it. And then you could stop losing all the tackle here. Because every morning, sometimes when I come down here for a walk and I'm walking the kids on low water, there's a gentleman who just walks up and down here with a bucket, picking up leads, rigs and that. So he's probably making a killing, he is. But yeah, so what I'll do is now, I'll quickly run you through the rigs I use, then we'll go through baiting up. Baiting up is simple here. And then cross fingers, we can get into some fish for you. Right, rigs and weights which I go through. When I'm fishing down here, I don't use massive hooks, nice small hooks, and I try and use a 3-up rig, because sometimes when you're winding it through, you don't want that bottom hook trailing through the mud and that, so I always try and use 3 hooks above the lead. In the night, if you match fishing down here, I'll tell you what does work is lumi. Any sort of a lumi bead works down here, but you don't want to go mad. So I tend to find short snuds work better down here, but I have caught fish on long snuds, but then I test and adjust. But I always start off with 9-inch snuds and a flapper rig. There's no need to clip a rig down here. I do always have one clip ready just in case I need to go far distance, but the fish normally sit on that sloping bank which we talked about where they're dredged to. So this is nice and simple. So all I've got here is a 3-hook flapper and 3 hooks above the lead. 9-inch snuds, nice and short. And it's got a little bit of lumi bling on there. 60-pound xenon main body, and I have glued this. As you can see, I got a glue bead and I got a little swivel trap there, and I got 15-pound blackout on each one of them, but nice and short, and it's all hooks above the lead which you need, because primarily if you match fishing here, you're targeting whiting, pouting. You do get sole here, and I've had some big soles here. I know Steve Perry and has had some big soles up by the buoy, so you know that's why I always tend to use short snuds here. But yeah, nice and simple. Leads, I tend not to use fixed leads here, so what I do use is a showcast. I did a hybrid lead which will go on the Xenon Plaza because it's a bit heavier, and then I've got a 4-ounce lead then to go on the Banzai. The tide, if you come here on a big tide, it can roll through, but the hybrid lead deals with that fine. I try and fish it 2 hours either side of the water, but you can fish it, you know, low water or whatever, but the only thing is it exposes the rocks on low water, so I don't think it's fair on the fish bouncing them up over the top of the rocks. And when you fish in 2 hours either side, you can just wind in and come up over the top of the rocks anyway. Quite a few people use lead lifters here, which I've seen, but I don't. I just quickly, once you get the lead up, quickly, which we'll go through, once you turn quickly to get the lead up, it normally comes up over the top of that mud bank anyway. But yeah, Magazine Lane is a very easy mark to fish, you know, for old gentlemen or old age people. It's lovely. You can just park your car. It's a nice flat platform to walk to. Nice flat platform. It's good for disabled anglers as well. It's got benches along here, especially up to my left there. There are quite a few disabled anglers fish here because they can cast from their wheelchair and that, which I think is good. And there's less rocks down that end, and then it goes gradually deeper up as you go up to the left, and then it goes onto the marshland, which is really good fishing up there as well, for your flat fish and your bass. But yeah, it's a lovely, easy mark to fish. It's just getting it right. Because that's right, when I walk along here with the family and we speak about it, you know, people, you know, they strike a fish and wind in slow, and you're going to get it caught up then. But we'll go through the techniques in a minute now, but that's the rigs I'm going to start off with. 3 above the leg and nice short snuds and showcast hybrid leads. Right, baiting up. Basic bait. I think what did this cost me? about £4. I went down to the Lewis Lodge, got half a pound of worm, and I had a little fillet of mackerel which I had from in the freezer, and that's perfect. And I've got it in when I'm going out on little short sessions. This is perfect. Little Tronics Pro bait holder. You know, you don't need a massive bait holder for this. That is perfect. It just fits anywhere. I like that when I'm going out there fishing as well. So what I'm starting on is, we talk about it, my little 9-inch snuds, 4-ounce lead, and this is going to go onto the Banzai multi-tip. And I've got size 6 hooks. You don't need massive bait here either. Half a pound's plenty. So all I do is, as you spoke about, snipped it off. So the bottom hook I'm going to be trying for sole. So all I'm going to do is here plain ragworm. Yeah, you don't need massive bait here. You know, and a good £4, you know, worth of ragworm and a little fillet like we'll talk about, it will be enough, you know, for a day's fishing for the family. You know, if you bring the kids down here, loads of kids fish here. And as you can see on there, I've got about an inch and a half of worm. Same on the next hook, but what I'll do is I'll put all the worm on, and then I'll show you which ones are going to tip off. Because the pouting and the whiting here do like to be tipped off. Yeah, it's a great match venue. I've won loads of matches here and fished loads of matches here. It's, you know, when the whiting and pouting are in, you know, you can score quite easily 1,000 points. A lot of clubs use it as a match venue, and especially a blow-off zone. So if you can't fish the other beaches, you can certainly fish that. I'll put a little bit of fish on that one actually. So, as you can see, I've just got a mackerel fillet. Cut that off. Cut that off. And as you can see, I'm not even going to whip it on. So I'm just going to cut it into a small little cube. Leave that there. And then my second hook up. Because believe me, I know I'm trying to show you how to fish here, but I don't really want to catch pouting and whiting. I'm hoping to pick up a sole. Really? Yeah, I'm hoping to pick up a sole. I don't really want to pick up whiting and pouting and that, but I'll tip them off just to show you. So, a little tiny cube end just to cover the point of the hook. And that normally works well for the pouting and whiting here. So as you can see, ragworm, and then on the tip of the hook, just a little bit of fish, a little cube. What I'll do on the top hook, a little tiny bit of fish. And a good thing with the hooks I'm using is the Tronics Pro Chino, and it's got, like I spoke about in one of my previous videos, they got the backwards facing spikes on the shank of the hook, so you don't have to whip it on when you just thing. And I got a tiny bit of fish bait on there, look. So that's ready to go out now, and we'll get in the water and see what we could catch. But yeah, simple fishing. As you can see, little short snuds, a little bit of glow bead, plain ragworm on the bottom, ragworm tipped, and then a little bit of fish on the top. I'll get that out now, about 50 or 60 yards, can try and sit it on that downslope banking where they haven't dredged. But when you're casting, if you look to your left, you'll have a red buoy, and if you look to your right, you've got another red buoy, and that's a distinct marker for the channel. So I always try and cast on there, because obviously that's not dredged, so there'll be obviously worms and everything living in there. Top tip though, Google before you come here, and if they are dredging, don't come here because you won't catch anything. Absolutely terrible when it's dredging. But yeah, I'll get this on now and get into the water. So as you've seen then, I casted that out about 40 or 50 yards into the channel. So what I'm doing is now, I'm just letting it, obviously the lead has hit the bottom now. So what I'm doing is now, if you just leave it go slack, all your line will go through all the silt and the mud, and that's when you're going to have issues. So all I'm doing is now is slowly letting the line sink and picking up the slack. So if I just put it in the stand now, as we spoke about, your line will go straight down, either on the rocks in the front, or it'll go into that mud trough. and that's when you get issues about when you're bringing it back in. So just follow the lead down now and just keep on tightening up, so then you're keeping in contact with that lead at all times. Also, as you can see, I've got my rod and resting set up this way. A lot of people put them over the top because this is quite popular with runners and that. And if you've got your rod stand that way, they can be a bit funny. So always try and give pedestrians a little bit of a walkway here. Yeah, but it's worth spending that 2 or 3 minutes when you cast out, just following the line down. And in the long run then, it'll give you less issues. So that's it now. As you can see, I'll try and bring it back a bit on my rod tip, on the quiver tip. The line is nice and tight now. I've followed it all the way down and it's sitting perfect now. So that's happy. All the line is nice and tight and it's not laying on anything. And then just in the stand. Great, sorted. So that would probably help a lot of you, because I do watch a lot of people just cast out and just wind and then put it in the stand, and then obviously all your line will go through all the mud, silt, rocks and that, and that's when you have issues winding back in. So right, I'm going to get the plasma sorted and out now, and cross fingers we can get into some fish for you. I hope a sole, to tell you the truth. There has been quite a few coming off here, so cross fingers we can get into one. Lovely, man. I'll pan you round now to see what the area you're fishing in. It's quite a busy terminal, to tell you the truth. Yeah, nice to watch. Right, obviously you see me casting the first one out. Not the biggest pout in the world. I'm quite surprised that I haven't got eaten. But I had a quick phone call off my friend Dave Wilson, who's my fishing partner in the Sea Angling Classic. And when we go out fishing, he's just joined down and he's just been laughing. How that I haven't got eaten, Dave, I don't know.
It's definitely not the biggest fish you've ever caught, Stuart.
No.
Good bait for a bass, though.
Yeah, very good bait. I'm quite surprised that hasn't got eaten. Yeah, hopefully the fish will get bigger now. I'm going to have a good chat with Dave here now. But yeah, you can see how the tactics work, and I brought that back in fine straight over the top of the rocks and that. But as you can see, the little bit of lumi and the short snods works fine, and no hassle at all about getting stuck or anything anywhere. But I'll have a quick chat with Dave, get this baited up and get back out there now. Oh, it's nice to have a catch up with my old friend Dave now. You can see him just leaving in the background, but we were just laughing. As soon as I cast out at the moment, there's small pout and whiting on there straight away. I don't think I'm going to catch anything big, but the only good thing is what you take out of it is how to fish here. I haven't been snagged once. I haven't, caught the banking or anything, because just go through the process as I told you, just to follow the lead down. And like we spoke about, it's a brilliant area, absolutely brilliant area. And nice and safe. There's a couple of anglers just turning up now to my right. Yeah, tremendous match venue. Tremendous match venue, and good for kids. You can bring the kids down. If you want to do it, I do a lot of LRFing along the front of you. You get a lot of gobies, blennies and different wrasse features. Yeah, pretty good now. So I'll wind these in now and see if we can catch the smallest pouting in the world. Right, obviously I haven't got anything big on here now, but the rod has been bending quite happily in here. So what you want to do is, when you get to it, get your rod, bring up the slack. Obviously you followed it down. If it is a fish on it, so what you need to do is you need to get the lead up quickly. So the first couple of turns you want to do is going to be quite quick, so you can get the lead up in the air, and then that will come over the bank then. So it's there, up, and then wind. As you can see, I'm only using a 6,000 reel, but you can get a lot of crank onto it. That's where you struggle with a multiplier. So just keep the rod nice and high, and wind, keep winding, and it'll get up over the bank. I felt it coming over the bank then. And then it's up, and then you get the fish up in there then. And And these are great, you know, especially this is a nice long rod. You get it to the rocks and you can just lift up. And there we are, the fish is in. I know it's only another small white pouting, sorry. But you can see the technique is to get the lead up quicker. Once it's up in the air, you can practically skate them across the top. So I get this little fella in, and I'll get him back in now. But you can see in the night, if you match fishing here, it's quite prolific, but it's a little pouting. And chuck him back. But you can see the technique now is once you get the lead up, and just keep cranking, and that will bring the fish up. That's why he's harder with a multiplier. But yeah, I'll get this rebaited now. Get it back out, and cross fingers I can get a bigger pout in. Yeah, it's a bite the chuck at the moment. As you can see, the same technique again, just get the lead up. And once it's up, you can just skate the fish in. Just keep winding, winding. I don't think I'm going to catch anything big here, but it gives you an insight how to fish magazine lane safely and correctly and not make it into a tackle graveyard. Yeah, same again, just a little pout. There's loads of them out there, they're on there straight away there. But I'll keep going now. I've got another hour now before the school run, and I'll go back and pick the kids up. But cross fingers, I can get into a little bit bigger pouting. Yeah, at the moment it's just pouting upon pouting, but small ones. But I didn't expect anything less, to tell you the truth, but it's more of a tutorial video. But I was just speaking to about 4 gentlemen, and we just walked down actually, and they had one of them had a spinning rod, and the other one had 2 beach rods. And they were asking me what you catching. I told them, but they set up just down there, and I walked down and had a chat with them because what they were doing. Obviously, if you're a novice and you're a beginner and you're watching this channel and you buy a setup from a shop, make sure there's shock leader on there, because I went down and spoke to the gentleman. They had, it looked like £20 line on there, and they'd put it through all their eyes, and then they had clipped on a short bought rig, which is brilliant, and a 6-ounce lead. And that's when the danger factor comes into it. And I went down and I gave him shock leader, and I showed him how to tie it on, and I showed him how to what to do with it. And if you are a novice and you're watching this, so when you cast in a lead, you can't cast a 6-ounce lead on £20 line. So each ounce equates to £10 a line. So if you cast in a 6-ounce lead, you need to have £60 shock leader, and so on. If you cast in a 7-ounce lead, but like I've always used £80 just for the safety factor, yeah. But if you're new to fishing and you go in, you know, and you want to do a bit of mackerel fishing, and you buy, you know, a setup from the shop, a rod reel combo, please make sure you've got shock leader on it, and use the correct knot to it. Google it or go onto YouTube, and it'll be a tutorial how to tie shock leader to your main line. Yeah, just don't come down here, because that's an accident waiting to happen. You start swinging around, you know, a 6-ounce lead, and you've got £20 straight through to it. It's going to snap off and probably kill someone. It'll probably snap off to the right or the left, and if there's people fishing there, it's dangerous. But yeah, top tip, if you're new to fishing, please Google or look into tying shock leader to your main line, and always use £10 to 1 ounce. So if you're using 6 ounces, £60 is the minimum you need to be using. But yeah, it was nice to go down and speak to them. They've only been fishing for about 2 weeks. So I put shock leader on all their rods for them now, and they're away to go. But yeah, top tip, get shock leader if you get a shop bought one, or ask them in the shop to put it on there for you. I've got a bite now straight away on the plasma, but it's just all small fish. But it's nice to get out, at least I'm out, because anywhere else on the south coast is unfishable. But I've come out, you know, to Magazine Lane, which a lot of people fish. So if you are watching this video and you take quite a bit away from me how to fish it, because I haven't lost a lead, I haven't been snagged up once. Yeah, I'm catching small pouting, but it's good for beginners and kids and stuff. And it's fascinating to watch the ships being loaded and that. So that's my job, and it's quite nice watching civilians doing it. But yeah, I'll get back to you if I have anything other than an 18cm pouting. Oh, well, that's been an enjoyable couple of hours. I know we've just been catching small pouting and that, but yeah, I do enjoy that sometimes. But if you do come down here in darkness, it's even more prolific. You probably get 2 or 3 whiting. A cast in darkness is quite popular, and as you can see, it's got lights all the way down here, which is all lit up. So if you haven't got an head torch, you know, you can just park yourself under one of the lights. Top tip though, it's quite popular with dog walkers, like we spoke about dog mess. So don't leave any rigs or anything laying around, because I think it was about 3 years ago, I had a competition here, and I had a trace hanging up on my rod stand, and a dog came over and ate it, and I had to T-bar the hook out of the dog's mouth, which is not good. But obviously, if you do see dogs running around, always ask the owners to put it on the lead, or just pick your traces up. And I normally have them in Electronics Pro bait basket underneath. I keep everything in there so the dog can't get at it. But yeah, it's nice. I know everybody having small pouting, but yeah, it's quite an enjoyable little morning and a little bit of an afternoon before I go and pick the kids up from school. It's been quite a busy week for me. Next week now, I'm off to the World Championships in Ireland, the 59th World Boat Championships. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've been prepping for weeks now. And I'm over the moon to be captaining Wales in it. So, and we've got a really good chance, because it's, you know, it's Wales' type of fishing. But I think it's 20 countries competing in it. So that's going to be good. So we have been practicing for a while and rig making. So we go over there for 3 days practice, and then there's an official practice day, and then we go into the 3 match days. So I'm really looking forward to that, and cross fingers can do Wales can do well in it, because we've got a really good team we have, and a good bunch of boys as well, with a good team ethos, which is brilliant. Yeah, but prepping for that has been mad, rigs upon rigs upon rigs. But like I said, I enjoy making rigs. I find it quite therapeutic. But yeah, cross fingers, I can get a pout in over 22 centimetres. But I can't see it happening, but I'm going to give it a good go. But hopefully you take a lot out of it. You know, if you are a beginner or a novice, you know, magazine laying, don't be scared of it, because people call it scaggy laying and all that. But use the tips and hints which I've given you, and you'll get every rig back you will. Just follow the line down and that. And when you're winding, quickly crank it and you get it up in the air as you see me doing. But yeah, it's not one of the places I flock to pleasure fishing, but it's a great match venue. I fish countless matches here. And it's always, you know, high scoring matches with pouting, whiting. You get the occasional dogfish and small ray. It's quite good for sea trout, mullet in the summer. But an LRF around the front and the rocks there can be, you know, you can get about 11, 12 species. You get pipe fish and everything. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm going to give it another 45 minutes, and then I'm going to pack up and then I'll go and get the kids from school. But hopefully, you know, I can get that pout in over 22 centimetres for you. But hopefully you've got some hints and tips if you want to come down here and fish. You know, it's a venue which you can fish in all sorts of weather, you know, because it's quite sheltered. So even if you need to get out and you're living in Hampshire, this is the place to come, because it is pretty sheltered. And the good thing is it's only a 2 or 3 minute walk to the car. If it comes to rain or it could pouring down, you can just quickly jump into the car and you're home. But yeah, I'll keep going now and see if I can get a pout over 22 centimetres for you. Yeah, it's coming up to top water now, and the bites are quite frantic, to tell you the truth. I packed one rod away, so I'm going to go in a minute. Oh, I think I've done it. That's a right record breaker. That's over 22 centimetres pout. But yeah, it's quite busy, mind. It's it's a fisher chuck at the moment, but yeah, this is definitely the biggest one I've had. It should get bigger now because the tide has picked up a bit, and we're coming up the top water. But yeah, I'll give it another pack one rod away, and I'll give it another 20 minutes now, and cross fingers we can get into a bigger pouting than that one. Oh, my last cast out now. I've packed one away, my other rod, as you've seen. But yeah, it's been enjoyable. 3 hours. You know, I've had us pouting every cast. Not big. Most of them are about between 10 and 16 centimetres, and then on my last one, as you've seen, I'd only looked about 25 centimetres. So I got over the 22. But I hope you find this is more of a tutorial. And it's, you know, I'm trying to do videos now, not just Chesil Beach, same venues all the time, or fishing Hurst, because some people, obviously, you know, the elderly, you know, the people who are disabled and that can't do it, but this is perfect access to it. And don't be scared of it. You know, obviously I've shown you how I fish it, and I've had a lead back every single cast. But I'm trying to do videos now that accommodates everyone's type of fishing. So I hope you got a lot from it. You know, it's a lovely venue as long as you fish it correct, and there's always fish here day and night. But yeah, I hope you took a lot from it. Nice short one, nipped out because the weather wasn't very clever. But then obviously I'm going to look forward to the World Championships now next week out in Ireland, and cross fingers we can bring home a medal. I'm buzzing about that. I think we've really got a strong chance of it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you got lots of stuff out of this video. But if I don't see you on a beach, I'll see you on the channel, everyone. Enjoy your fishing.